So our topic that we were going to talk about was ethical decisions within the social media. And we picked an article by Kyle McDonald, and it's called Playing Ball or Going on Vacation. And I'm just going to read that to you, Bridget, real fast. The UVU softball team went to Hawaii February 26th through the 28th to compete in a Bank of Hawaii Invitational. They played 6 games, 3 against Portland State and 3 against the University of Hawaii. The results weren't quite what the team hoped for, as they were winless on the trip. But this isn't about the outcome of the games during that trip. It's more about what was posted on Instagram and Twitter by the players during their trip. That concerns me. In a picture on Instagram account of a freshman infielder, there's a picture of her doing a handstand on the beach the same day of the first game in Hawaii. Later on the various Twitter accounts of the athletes, there are pictures of some of the players paddleboarding on a surfboard. Looking at these pictures raises a few questions. First, if I were on the team that lost 99 games out of 139 in over 2 years, should I really be out on the beach having a good time, or should I be watching film, taking batting practice, and doing things to get better? Also, according to Associate Athletic Director of Finance and Business Operations, Nikki Scott, who's 31% of the funds the athletic department receives from student fees go toward travel. Why should the students foot the bill for these athletes to have fun and basically have a vacation? Athletes on other teams at UVU have said that when they go on trips, they practice, eat, study, and play that game. They don't get the opportunity to go sightseeing or hang out on the beach, if you will. So why is the softball team so privileged? I understand that people will argue that because of the weather, scheduling a home contest makes it tough during this time of year. They will also argue that UVU was invited to go there, and it's not every year they get to go to the Hawaiian Islands. But the thing to remember is that it wasn't a vacation. It was to compete in softball. Is it really fair to the students who are paying for the travel for the softball team to go out and have a good time rather than focus on softball? In an interview prior to the season beginning, UVU head coach Nikki Palmer said that when they go on the road, it's all about ball and focusing on getting the job done. And that is the way it should be. Posting pictures of the team playing on the beach or in the ocean during one of these road trips doesn't look good, especially when the team doesn't win even one game during the trip. I love sports. I love watching them, covering them, and writing about them. To clarify, I want to see the softball team play well. But when athletes go on a trip to play softball or baseball or whatever sport, that's what it should be about. Especially if you're not the one paying for it. Let's not forget that students, through their student fees, pay for travel on road trips. Is it fair for the students to foot the bill for the trip when the main focus might not be softball? It may be time to refocus on what the real purpose of these road games are. So our first question, our micro question, should journalists use information gathered on social media as part of the reporting process? If the answer is yes, what are the guidelines? Because Kyle, in this article, he used some of the softball girls' pictures from their Instagram, of the beach, them on the beach or doing handstands or paddleboarding, and so.
I think it's out there. You've agreed to the terms and conditions of using the social media. So if you don't want people to see it and you don't want people to use it to let other people know what's going on, then you probably shouldn't post it. And from what I've learned in this class, student athletes, they have strict things that people are watching their accounts and saying, oh, you probably shouldn't post this, you probably shouldn't post that. I think this might be a situation where a little guidance from the athletic department on what is okay and what is not okay could have helped the situation not have such an adverse outcome as it did.
I feel like if that's someone that writes for the sports should ask the athletes or inform if it's okay if he uses this picture for so-and-so article if he's covering the sports for our own school.
But when you agree to the terms and conditions, as soon as you post a photo on Instagram or Facebook, it becomes property of Instagram and Facebook and to the public. And so it's
it's not really theirs to say whether or not it can be used or not after that point.
Well, and exactly, if you don't want people to get mad at you for what you're doing, don't post about it. That's how it is with Twitter. That's how, if you don't want someone to cause issues, then don't put the issues out there to be caused, if that makes sense. You just can't. You have to be really careful of what you are always posting, what you're always saying, because people are always going to be watching out.
Well, and it's not, I think he's got an ethical duty to put the stories out there. I mean, the majority of the time, yeah, that's going to be promoting and doing well, but there are things that go on throughout the world and in UVU that people need to know about so that they can be held accountable for the decisions that they make.
Our mid-range issue question is number 3. Should it be possible to delete yourself from social networking sites?
On the site of the article, it actually says, like, there's an update. It says the tweets have since been deleted and we have been blocked from the accounts at the current time. So the girls did request for their, like, beach photos to be taken off the site, and then they blocked UV Review and Kyle McDonald from their social network.
I think that one's a hard question to say whether or not you should or should not be, because according, like we've been talking about the terms and conditions, once you make it public, it's not really yours anymore. I mean, in all of your social media, in the terms and conditions and signing, it says that once you publish it, it's property of that place that you've published it through. So
Well, and it's obviously still going to be out there. Like, he already has proof. So even if they delete it, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, the UVU review still had copies of those pictures. So
Yeah, and actually, like, being a student athlete, we sign papers at the beginning that gives the UV Review and the journalists and all of the like compliance and all the athletic advisors like access to our accounts. And it's like, as soon as we post something, we're responsible for it, and as soon as like anything goes up, they can like tell us to take it down because we're kind of like their employee.
yeah, you're representing
And
UVU.
we're representing
like
UVU.
an ambassador of UVU.
Yeah, so I mean, once you post it, like, you sign that they can like have access to it. So I mean, you're giving that right away when you're posting it, and also when you're signed to be a
Well,
student
that's
athlete.
exactly like when you're a student athlete. Like, hello, you're getting a scholarship. Like, you're getting these like trips, you know, to different places for free, and the students are paying for it. So obviously, they should have some accountability for whatever they do on any social media.
Absolutely.
I think so. I think it's kind of funny because in the article it still has like what was written. It doesn't have the picture, so they've requested to keep the picture, but it still has like the tweets. It's like, oh, to be back in Hawaii on the beach, getting a tan, or like having someone push me. I don't remember the name that it says on there, but someone pushed me in the water and getting a tan. So I mean, you can only imagine
Aaron, it was Aaron.
Aaron. You can only imagine what picture would be with that. I mean, playing in the water rather than studying or doing other things that the athlete should be doing according to those things that you've signed when you're an athlete.
Our macro issue question is, what are the potential ethical implications of government as compared to corporations archiving information posted on sites such as Facebook and Twitter?
So this is, I guess, like, even if you take it down, like, governments can, I mean, I guess
Yeah, they
businesses
still
and
have
corporations
access
still have
to-
access to it. Like, Bridget, we were talking about your specific like situation when you were in New Zealand, looking up your financial planner and seeing that she was like a big partier and stuff, and like you realized then that you didn't want her doing your financial planning. So it's like, if they didn't archive, then we wouldn't be able to see, I don't know, like,
Or get
people
that
really show their
information.
true selves like on
Yeah.
social media at times.
Well, I think in this case specifically, because it talks about how they use that. We were talking earlier, and you'd made the point where you're talking about the professional athletes. They get to travel and do stuff, and why is it different? He was saying that why is it different, the professional athletes versus student athletes? And I think in this case that has opened eyes to some people, and I think it's a good thing that the eyes were open to see that put these athletes kind of on blast to say, hey, this isn't ethical, because students who work really hard to pay, I mean, not that student athletes don't work hard to pay for their education, because I know a lot of student athletes, and they practice hard, they work hard in their schoolwork, they hold themselves to higher standards, but how that's different from like professional athletes. They work for a corporation versus student athletes, they're part of a school.
Well, it's like, yeah, that's their
we're
job.
paying for that.
Professional athletes, that's their job. They've done all these things to get that far. They're making a salary, you know? And athletic, or like student athletes, it's part of their schooling. So it's just so very different.
But it's kind of like a job. I look at it like as a
Well,
job.
yeah,
too.
it is a job in a sense because, you have to do you have to have certain criteria to be a student athlete.
Well, like you said, there's applications and different things that you sign saying that you're an advocate for the school. So different schools have like honor codes and other things. The student athletes, they have their rules and regulations that they have to abide by. And I think in this case, it was the right thing to do for this person to put this article out there so that we could be more aware of these things.
Well, especially since it's 31%, like that's kind of a big number that us students are paying for these athletes to do things. Like, so it's like if we're paying that much out of our pockets, we should expect them that they're gonna hold up their end of the bargain and be doing this, and this.
Don't you think?
Yes, I agree.